Good afternoon, YouTube viewers. Today, yesterday, the day before, tomorrow, probably the next day, we're building bale feeders. So I acquired several lengths of 2 7/8 drill stem, and I wanted some bale feeders. Did not want square ones, wanted round ones. And this is my attempt at building them. So far, so good. This is the first one. I'm going to do the second one differently. I am not going to do the extended legs with the little side pads. I am going to put that bottom ring all the way at the bottom and fill in with some verticals to do the hay saver. Basically, this is an octagon. Cut my lengths, flattened the ends, formed them. I'll show you the machines I did that in here in just a little bit. I'm using some old 5-foot T-posts for my intermediate verticals. This is dirty material. It does not weld all that nice, and it does tend to crack when flattening the ends, so I did weld those cracks up. Not sure if it's necessary or not, but that's what I did. Basically, there's a 16-inch gap for them to get their heads through. I did make them 4.5 feet tall, with the hay saver being 18 inches tall. I'm using a 20-ton press here from Harbor Freight with some heavy plates that come off of an old plow. And that's how I'm flattening the ends. Flip it around, line it up pretty close, and crimp the other end. I'm using the chain, or the cherry picker hoist with a chain, just as a support, so when I let it down I don't have to hold the pipe. And basically I bring it down till it squishes about that far. Some are a little less, some are a little more, but they're all pretty close. On this end are my 4.5 foot verticals, some that I have flattened, and as you can see, there are cracks. What I did find earlier is if they crack and break, or crack in that area right here when you're pressing them, they are very brittle, and you do not want to try to bend them, because they'll bend about that far and they'll fracture in the middle, and then you have two very large projectiles come squirting out of the side of the tubing bender. This is my tubing bender. The mark on the top was my first mark. Wasn't bent quite enough, so I bent it a little more to get to 45. And that's where my second mark is. When it's level, it's just over the top of the die. I did make a little note of 21 5/8 inches is where things are centered. And I'm using a piece of 1/2 inch pipe for my jack handle, just because the current one's a little short. I probably am overusing this bender a little bit, but it is working fine. I'm using a 3-inch die instead of the 2.5 inch die. 2.5 inch black iron pipe is roughly 2 7/8. I would have to prime out of the die. It did make a nicer bend. However, with this heavy wall, I'm worried I'll break the die, and it's very difficult to get them out. Here is one that I formed just before I decided to shoot the video. I kind of wanted to set up each machine so everybody could see what was going on. I did cheat and laid out my hexagon prior to starting to form all this stuff. I did 2 different ones. First attempt was with 3 posts. Didn't like that idea after I kind of started laying it out. My original thought was a 3-legged stool always stands firmly, but I would have excuse me, had to do 2 bends and had everything line up, and that didn't sound like a lot of fun. So this is how I laid it out. It's basically a 7.5 foot diameter. I have 5.5 foot nope, I take that back. I went 5 3/4 foot on my 45s, just because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to lay out as far as the bending radius. So I added a little bit, figuring I'd cut the first couple down, and it actually worked out really good. So you can scratch that 5.5 foot. It's 5 3/4 or 69 inches long. And then I have 4.5 foot posts, and basically it comes to about 84 feet of pipe per bale feeder, and that does not include any of the verticals. So once I get everything built here, I'm going to start tacking one together, and I'll shoot a little video to show you guys the process of doing that. Hopefully you guys find this informative and interesting, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.